Okay, it's recording. Ask the question first and I will point at Grandpa. And that's when you answer. Ready? Try to look in the camera, Grandpa. Ready? That's the first question. Start from number one. Start from number one and go down. Go.
Now.
Start from number one and read it and go down.
When and where were you born?
Okay.
When and where were you born?
When was I born?
And where?
I was born in San Antonio, February the 25th, 1923.
Okay, that's the next question.
He's writing it down.
Do one of the top ones first. Just asking this one.
What kind of games did you play growing up?
What kind of games did I play? Softball, baseball, boxing, racing, tennis, softball.
Ask them questions about it. The games.
What was your favorite thing to do for fun?
What was your favorite thing to do?
For fun? Looking at TV, listening to the radio, playing the record player
Too small?
of my favorite songs.
Can you say it again? Wait, let me stop. Small. Go. Ask them the questions.
Which one?
The one you just asked.
What was your favorite thing to do for fun?
When you're a baby. What was your favorite thing to do for fun when you were a kid? Like a baby kid, like a 7-year-old. His age, 9 to 7.
Play hide and go seek.
Is that it?
And listen to the hit parade on the radio.
Did they have TV back then? Ask questions.
No,
When did you get your first radio?
when I was 6 years old.
Ask questions about the radio.
What did you hear?
What did you listen to on the radio? What did you listen to on the radio?
What did I listen to on the radio?
Uh-huh.
The hit parade, my favorite songs, and some of the plays.
What plays?
Well, the spooky ones.
Oh, like what?
What I don't remember. Frankenstein, like Frankenstein, and like the vampire bat.
Did it scare you?
They were scary.
Did you have to sleep with someone after that?
No, but I couldn't see for a while.
Go.
How did your family come to live there?
It's the center.
How did your family come to live in San Antonio? How did your family get there? Where did they come from? And why did they move?
Well, my father was born and lived in San Antonio, and my mother came from Laredo, and that's where I was born, in San Antonio.
Why did they move there? Why did they move there?
Why did we live there?
Why did you move to San Antonio?
Oh, because that's where the jobs were for my parents.
What job?
Well, just odd jobs,
What kind of odd jobs did your parents do?
like cutting the grass for my father. George worked for my father, and maids worked for my mother. My mother served as a maid, and she also studied being a midwife, and she worked a lot as a midwife, she brought in a lot of babies.
Uh-huh.
She brought in over 100 babies in 20 years.
Go.
What was your school like?
What was your school like at his age?
The school was sometimes very boring, but sometimes very good. When we played games, we liked to play games.
Mm-hmm. What kind of games?
What kind of games?
What kind of games?
What kind of games?
Hide and go seek, and ball, softball, sports, racing, jumping.
Okay, next question.
What did your family enjoy doing together?
Do you hear?
What do my family told you?
Okay, take your hands out. What did your family enjoy doing together?
Well, listening to the radio, listening to the records, the vinyl records that we had, and visiting with relatives, close relatives.
Did you play a lot on the internet?
There was no internet then.
Did you play games on the iPad?
No iPad.
Okay, ask me the next question.
What are some risks you have taken?
What are some risks you've taken?
So what?
What are some risks you've taken?
Risks.
Yeah, put your hand out, put your hand. Yeah. Risks.
Well, the risk is selling paper, shining shoes on the street. The kids my age were poor and they were always stealing. As a matter of fact, they stole one of my bicycles.
What happened?
What? Well,
What happened? What happened?
they stole one of my bicycles. We never,
Well,
we
where
never
were
did
you?
find it.
Why didn't you lock it?
Well, we didn't think of it. We didn't feel that there was seizures right there where I received the papers that I was supposed to sell. And I usually put it into the furniture store there on the corner. But this time, when they stole it, I had it on the side of the door of the furniture store.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went into the donut shop to sell the paper, came back out, it was gone. Somebody stole it.
Was your mom mad?
Yeah, they were angry, yeah.
Were they angry at you? Were they mad at you?
No,
Why did you have to sell papers?
because everybody was poor in those days, and the parents let the children go out and do whatever work they could do to make some money. Everybody was poor. Most people were poor.
What did you do with the money you made?
Well, we gave it to our folks so they could buy the groceries and stuff.
Does your family have any special traditions?
Did your family have any special traditions?
No, just to celebrate the birthdays. We celebrate everybody's birthday.
What was Christmas like? Christmas, what was Christmas like?
Christmas is very happy because we usually got gifts from other relatives, not only from my parents, but from uncles and aunts and grandparents.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's your next question?
How is the world today different from what it was like when you were a child?
Put your hand out, I'll tell you. How is the world today different than when you were a child?
Well, there were less things to do. There are more things to do now.
Like what?
Well, like there was less money, so later on there was more money. When there was more money, we could go to football games where they charged, or baseball games, or sports any sports where they charge money to enter. We could go to most of those things, and more often to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
More often to the movies.
What about technology?
Technology was more advanced. Yeah.
Yes, the next question.
Were there any special items in your house that you remembered?
Are there any special items in your house you remember?
Well, yeah, the record player, the radio, and games, more games to play.
What was your house like?
What was your house like?
Well, it was furnished pretty well, and we had many things that many toys that we could play with. So whenever the weather was bad, we stayed inside and had a lot of fun using those toys.
Was it big or was it small, your house?
It's regular size, regular.
Were
Not
there,
big, not small, just regular size.
were there train tracks behind the house?
Yes, they were very close to the backyard.
What happened?
Well, I used to go over the fence and play near the tracks. So my mother saw the danger, and she tied me to. She took a rope, long rope, and tied me to the waist, and then the other end she tied to a tree that was in our yard, so I couldn't get away.
Poor little grandpa. Ask another question. Don't worry about numbers now, just because you can pick between multiple questions. Just keep asking. So we have. Yeah, just don't worry about the number. Just ask them. Don't you want to know about your grandpa? Wait, I'm gonna pause it. Okay, go ahead.
What was your profession and how did you choose it?
What was your profession and how did you choose it?
I was a teacher, an educator, and I'd like to teach from my classroom experience. I felt that was what I was wanting to do, to make a living.
How did you choose it?
How did I choose it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just simply saw that I did very well in my classes of Spanish. First I wanted to be a bookkeeper, but then I started receiving a lot of honors for the Spanish classes that I took, and so I changed over from being a bookkeeper to being a teacher of Spanish because of all the awards that I received in Spanish.
If you could have had any other profession, what would it have been? Why wasn't it your first choice?
If you could have had any other profession, what would it have been, and what was your first choice?
Well, I was going to be a bookkeeper, but I did so well in Spanish and got so many awards that I decided to change to Spanish.
What'd
And
you say?
then
That's fine.
also I did pretty good in typing.
What accomplishments were you the most proud of?
What accomplishments are you the most proud of?
I gotta think of that. Well, all the achievements that I got were excelling in Spanish and for writing a dictionary that sold pretty good.
What dictionary?
A dictionary, the Spanish of Texas.
When did you write it?
Well, I co-authored it with a fellow named Teschner, and it was 1977.
What made you decide to write it?
Well, Teschner read an article that I had written in a very popular magazine that was for the teachers of Spanish and Portuguese, and he wrote me a letter. I didn't know him. He wrote me a letter and congratulated me on the article and asked if I was willing to get together with him and write a dictionary of the language of the Spanish used in Texas, and I agreed, and we worked on it till we got it made, till we got it written and published, and it sold pretty good.
Of all things you learned from your parents, which did you feel was the most valuable?
Of all things you learned from your parents, what was the most valuable?
Honesty and creativity.
What is this last one?
What is one thing you most want people to remember about you?
What is the one thing you want people to remember about you?
My achievements.
Don't count. Don't worry about it. Are there any stories about famous or infamous relatives in your family?
Yeah, there are many on my father's of my father's cousins. One of them got his PhD at the University of Texas at the age of 21, which was a record then. He was the youngest one at the time. And his sister was my first Spanish teacher in the middle school, and she was the first faculty member to be hired there as an Hispanic. And a brother who got his master's at Texas A&M was given an honorary PhD for all his contributions to the war effort in World War II.
Go.
What world events had the most impact on you while you were growing up? Did any of them personally affect your family?
What world events had the most impact on you while you were growing up, and did any of them impact your family?
Say that again.
What world events had what was it? What world events had the most impact on you, and did any affect your family?
Yeah, the Second World War, because I was drafted and I had to leave home, and they were worried about my safety.
So what happened during the draft? When did you find out you were drafted?
Well, first of all, I enlisted in the reserves in 1942 on the first anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, but I wasn't called into active duty until May the 12th, 1943, and that's when I was drafted.
Where did you go? Where did you go?
Well, first of all, the home front, and then the European Theater of Operations, mainly in England.
Where did you? Sorry, did you go to training camp? Where did you go to training camp?
Rockford, Illinois.
What? Tell us a little bit about it.
What?
What happened in training camp?
Well, in training camp, I only took only 3 weeks of the basic training, and because I had done so well in typing, that they sent me to clerical school, so I didn't have to take the rest of the training, and I'd go all dressed up in my ODs in the morning and come back the same way, and the other guys didn't like me too well because they'd come in sweaty in their ODs and had to change and take a bath and so forth, and I would come in fresh in the dress uniform.
So how did you get to Europe?
To Europe, well, we left on a boat called the Mariposa, Spanish name for butterfly, and instead of going straight, we went up to the North Pole, and then through Greenland, and then London, because the U-boat of the Germans, they were sinking a lot of our ships. So we took the long way to England.
Did you encounter any U-boats?
But we got there safely. Well, the first day I caught the flu and I was sent to the ship hospital. And when I was there, I heard a lot of bombs going on. And one of the nurse attendants says that they had located some U-boats that were trying to sink us. But we got some help from planes that started dropping bombs there, and we made it safely to Greenland and then to England.
Do you know if they sunk them?
The what?
Do you know if they hit the U-boats?
No, I never did find that out. No.
What happened when you landed?
It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and we got off, and it was in Liverpool, and we started marching down the street of Liverpool, and it was, and we saw a lot of kids there, English kids asking for candy or things from the soldiers, from us, and one of the kids asked one of the Orientals, the soldier was from the Orient, for gum, and he said, "Any gum, chum?" And the soldier said to me, "God, how did you know my name?" Chum, because chum is an Oriental name.
What else happened?
No, well, we got to the train. The train took us to the hospital where we were to serve, the 163rd General Hospital, and it was located on the Rudyard Kipling estate. Rudyard Kipling was a famous English writer.
Okay, tell me about the first time a bomb dropped. You got bombed.
Well, the first time the bomb dropped, we ran over to the underground shelters for protection.
What happened? What were you doing? Do you remember?
We were, I think we were having a party. And we dashed out the room and went to an underground shelter for protection.
It ended the party really quick.
What?
Did it end the party real quick?
Very quickly, yeah.
What did you feel like?
Feel like all of us were very frightened. We had not been bombed before, so we were, and the bombs were falling pretty closely. So that's why we ran and went underground in the air-ground shelter.
What about when you were in town watching movies?
Well, yeah, that's right. When we were in the movie, on the screen, they stopped the movie and put on there that the bombs were not dropping, and for us not to run, because more people we heard dashing out, stepping on each other, so they told us to stand still until the bombs finished dropping, because more people were killed dashing out, stepping on each other.
What big battle were you there for?
There were several of them.
Which one? Name
especially the gosh, I remember the name, where many of our soldiers were killed.
D-Day? The D-Day?
No, I wasn't there. I went after V-Day, but first when we got there, the German planes were strafing the people there. But right after that, they started sending bus bombs, and when the bombs stopped, we had to look out, because that's when the bombs were falling, and pretty soon they improved on those bus bombs, and they started sending missiles, which were quicker, and they could send more that way. Well,
was it more risky to sell newspapers or go to World War II? Which was more risky?
World War II, man. I saw one of the presidents.
But they stole your bike.
Yeah, no. I saw Franklin D. Roosevelt when he was running for a third term, and he was making talks to get votes. He was in an open court that came past the corner where we waited for our papers to sell, and he turned into the Katy Depot, which was across the street, and got into the train and left. Yeah, because he used to make speeches from the last car every time they made a stop in a small town. Okay.
Yeah. So so when the first big battle, the big battles are happening, what did the sky look like?
When the first
big battles were happening, were they sending planes in?
Yeah, they always sent planes. The Germans always sent planes, but the Royal Air Force had a pretty good thing going, and the planes were better than the Germans, and they used to meet the Germans and destroy their planes, and then after a while they would go over to Germany and start dropping bombs. Yeah.
So what did it look like? Did you see the planes?
The planes? Yeah, nothing particular about them. But anyway, when we were underground, we were all scared with the ones who were dropping. So to make matters a little bit less tense, I used to make fun of the Hispanic, the non-Hispanics, and I'd say "gringo, gringo, eh?" And that would reduce the tension a little bit. And so, for that reason, I guess the name Gringo struck to me, and they used to call me Gringo. And so, the first time I went to get a haircut, the barber was an enlisted man, a short, fat guy of Italian descent. And when he finished giving me the haircut, he gave me a book to sign. He says, everybody that gets a haircut has to sign his name. And so he saw me sign my name, Robert A. Galvan. And he said, "What? I thought your name was Gringo." Gringo, eh? And every time we had a radio station that dedicated songs to us soldiers, and every time they dedicated one to me, they would say, "The next number is dedicated to Gringo." So the name stuck to me. I was a Gringo.
So what was your job there? What did you have to do?
I was a company clerk. I made the morning reports. I typed the morning reports of what had happened the day before.
Like what did you put in it?
Well,
like an example.
Well, it's the bombs. If the planes came over and dropped bombs, or anything anything that happened to us, any dangers.
What was the most memorable event?
The most well
over there.
When we were in England, we were there. Well, the bombing. The bombing was.
Mariposa. Tell me about the biggest battle. What happened that day that you saw, that you were there for, and what did you have to do that day?
Well, the biggest battle was the battle, they call it the Battle of the Bulge. The Battle of the Bulge. We lost a lot of people then. And I remember that they used to wake us up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go down to the railroad station to take the wounded soldiers and bring them to the hospital. And there were a lot of them. We were losing a lot of men. They called it the Battle of the Bulge.
Do you remember any soldier? Any specific soldier?
No, just the fact that we got him off the train, put him in an ambulance, and then took him off the ambulance and carried him in the litter to the ward, and they were pretty heavy. So that weakened my stomach quite a bit, and shortly after the war, I had to have hernia operations, two here on this side and one on this side, because they were very heavy to carry. Some of those guys weighed about 200 pounds. So two of us, one on one side, one on the other, carried them on litters. And it weakened my stomach, my sides.
What about the day we won? You remember the day
The
we
day
won?
we went, I was on the road, and I was going to. We had a lot of German and Italian prisoners in our camp, and I was in charge. I was sent to a supply house a couple of towns away to get beddings for the prisoners, and so on my way, I saw a lot of cars sounding their horns, a lot of people shouting. And I said, well, what's wrong? He says, the war's ended in Germany with the Germans. They were very happy. And I said, and so that meant that they were going to get us ready to go to Japan. But luckily for us, before that, the Americans dropped the bombs, the atomic bombs, and that ended the war. They dropped it once, the Japanese wouldn't quit, then they dropped it down the second time, and then they gave up. And so instead of going to Japan, we were going to be dismissed from the army. But it was, the discharge was on a numbers basis, depending on how many years you served, how many children you had, and so forth. And I had no children because I wasn't married. And I hadn't served but 2 years and 10 months. So I had to wait. And for those of us that had to wait, they set up a temporary university at Shreveport, England, and one on the continent. And I applied for the one in Shreveport, and I was admitted, and took 2 classes there, made 6 hours, which counted to Trinity when I came back.
So before you knew they dropped the bomb when they were getting you ready, what did they do to you guys to get you ready to go to Japan?
Before they what?
Before they dropped the bomb on Japan, they were getting you ready. What did they do to you guys to get you ready to go to Japan?
What did they do to get us ready? It was nothing but to work on our records and put our names down and the ship that we were supposed to go on. But luckily, the war ended, so we were relieved. See how close you came not being born?
No, I thought tell us about how they were measuring you in your flat feet. Remember? How they were measuring you? They took you in for medical to see if you were fit?
They were married. They were those of us who were registered as Class A were healthy enough to fight. So when we were losing a lot of men during the Battle of the Bulge, they got a lot of us that were listed as Class A and took us to the infirmary to be examined to see how many of us could go in the infantry to make up for the losses during the Battle of the Bulge. And when they examined me, after they finished, the doctor put on there, rejected. They rejected me. And what was the reason? He says, I had flat feet. So I went home, and my feet were not flat, but they were pretty low. So I guess he felt that by all that marching I had to do to train for the infantry, they would be flat, because the arc was pretty low. And with all that marching for preparation, they would have been flat. So I guess that's the reason they put flat feet. But I was lucky.
So you went to college. What did you do when you got home?
You what?
What did you do when you got home?
When I got home?
Yeah.
I took it easy and applied for the GI to go to college, because after that, well, when we got discharged, there was a normal house like the one there in front was established as an office where they would give the discharge to the soldiers. And when I went there, they gave me the discount and let me go. And as I was going out, there was a room that said, join the reserves. And I went in to join the reserves because I didn't think there would be a war anymore, you know. And I went in, there was no one there. I don't know. So I said, well, I'll do it when I get home. And I didn't join because shortly after that, there was a Vietnam War. And if I had joined, I would have been sent to Vietnam.
Or the Korean?
Eh?
Korean War?
No, to the Philippines.
Yeah, the Korean War was first, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this was on the other side of the world. But if I had joined the reserves, you wouldn't be here today.
Neither would you.
And you'd be married to somebody else. And he doesn't know that he wouldn't be here. So I had a lot of close calls. Because when we were sent over, and I was on the Mariposa, the first day I got the flu, and they put me in the hospital, and we had a male nurse, and there was only one patient there, and he looked very sick. So that sick person asked the male nurse to give him a cup of orange juice. The male nurse served it and gave it to him, and when he drank it, I said, I want some orange juice too. And he was going to give me the same cup. And I said, give me a new cup. He did. And that afternoon, this guy got worse. They sent him to intensive care. And when the male nurse came back, I said, well, did they find out what was wrong with him? He said, yeah, he's very sick. He had meningitis. And that's a deadly disease, boy. Luckily, I didn't from the same cup. I didn't drink from the same cup. Spinal meningitis here. God. So, you're lucky to be here today. If I had drank from the same cup, I would have probably died of meningitis.
So tell me any pilgrimage that your parents went on, your family?
The what?
For your safety. Pilgrimage? Did they go on a pilgrimage for your safety?
My mother did. When I came back, my mother took us on my brother and I. Well, my brother didn't serve because he had a heart murmur, but he took him and me to Mexico. I forgot where was it? Do you remember where it took me?
Monterrey.
Monterrey. To Monterrey.
What was there?
The Virgin that she had prayed to keep me safe, bring me back safe.
Did it work?
Well, I got back. And she went there to thank the Virgin for bringing me back.
So...
See, you didn't know all that, did you?
Did you hear that?
That's how close you came not to being born.
Did So what happened when you went to school?
What?
You went to school at where when you came
Yeah,
back?
when they gave me the discharge, they said you have 5 years of free school. You could go into the GI, and the GI would pay for the tuition and give you $75 a month to live on. See? So I didn't have to work. So I did 2 years to get, before I left I had 2 years of college work. So when I got back, I finished the 2 years for the BA. Then I went to Texas for the University of Texas for the MA and finished it in a year and a half. And from there, I went to Tulane, and my GI ran out a year after my work for the PhD. It went out, but luckily they called me in, and the chairman offered me a teaching fellowship, which paid for my tuition and gave me $150 a month. After deductions, I ended up with $120, which was more than enough in those days to live on. So that's the reason that I was able to finish the PhD.
So how did you get to Uvalde?
To Uvalde? Well, I was looking for a job, and I had put my name in the office in Austin that told where the jobs were, and there was one in Illinois, and I turned it down because I had my basic training in Illinois in the winter, and I didn't like the cold, so I turned it down and decided to. I saw that there was an opening in a junior college in Uvalde, so my folks took me there. I applied for the job, and they gave it to me. See, and I taught at the junior college in Uvalde. That's where I met her.
How long did it take you to meet?
Hmm?
How long did it take you to meet?
To meet?
Yeah. To meet.
Well, almost right away, because one of her cousin. Look at her cousin used to. She worked collecting she worked in an office downtown, in which we were supposed to pay for the utilities, and I went there. That's where I met her, and we went out on a date, and she invited. Your mother had heard of it. She had met a Robert Galvano, two Robert Galvano, and she wanted to know if I was the same person. So she asked her cousin to bring me to church, and she brought me to church. That's where we met, and she saw that I was not the same person. But shortly after that, Dile,
He said to be with you.
did I ask her for a date? I went out on a date with her, and that's how we got started.
Or move to that side. Can you switch to that side? Yeah.
That's why we met, and we kept going on dates until she said yes.
Yes to what?
To will you marry me?
Oh, I thought. Yeah.
I didn't say will you marry me. I said, you want to get married, don't you? You don't want to get married, do you? She said, yes. So that's how we got married.
So where did you get married?
In Uvalde, in the church in Uvalde.
How long did you date?
Well, we only did it about 3 months now. How many? 5 months? Yeah. We did it 5 months.
What did you think when you saw her? What day was it at church?
August, the month of August. August the 11th, no. When we married,
It was Ash, wasn't it?
when we married was August the 11th, 1957.
No, about when you met her. What day was it when you met her?
The 3rd of August.
No, when you met her. The Ash Wednesday, was it Ash Wednesday?
When I met her was the first time I met her. Oh yeah, it was on Ash Wednesday in the Catholic Church. Her cousin brought her to meet me. It was Ash Wednesday, right?
What did you think when you saw her?
I said, I gotta get away from there. Gosh, I gotta get away from there. She's ugly. No, when I met her, I said, boy.
What?
I said, boy, that's for me. She didn't know that, but I liked her right away. I said, you don't want to get married, do you? She said, yeah. Boy, you're lucky. You're lucky she was there.
Oh, she's lucky. You're lucky.
We're both lucky.
What did her father say to you? Did you ask him?
My father?
Her father.
Her
Antonio.
father said, oh, he said, boy, this guy's really in love. Because I sent her flowers, no. I sent a big bouquet of flowers. And he said, God, this guy's really in love.
What did you think after your first... Where'd you go on your first date? Do you remember?
On the first date,
I don't
we went to a restaurant, no.
She said the drive-in.
The drive-in, yeah.
Was he good? Was he a good boy?
I said driving restaurant, not the
You're lucky, boy.
Tell us about moving to San Marcos.
The what?
San Marcos, moving to San Marcos.
How do we come to San Marcos? Well, a fellow from a fellow we taught at the college here went to Uvalde to recruit students because he was junior college, and for the next 2 years he wanted to recruit members to come to the university here. So he went over there, and that's where we met. And he met me, and he had heard that I had a PhD, and so he says, "Why don't you go over there and talk for us, to teach for us? This is a dead end here." So I said, "Well, I'll think it over." And after a few days, I thought it over, and I called him. I said, "I'm coming over." And we came over, and we got the job, and I was taking the furniture. She was already here, but I was in Uvalde getting the furniture, and on the way over, I dropped my office chair on the highway, and I lost that forever. No?